countryside around Sligo.
In the most gruelling sports event ever held in Ireland. Don't worry, all you have to do is watch it. The premier All Ireland Triathlon.
RTE, in association with Premier Dairies, welcomes you to the beautiful countryside around Sligo, where more than 200 athletes will swim a mile in the sea, cycle 57 miles, and then run a half marathon.
The course for the Premier Dairies Triathlon is in what must be the most beautiful setting ever for a triathlon event. Through the magnificent Yates countryside, where every landmark is celebrated in the poetry of William Butler Yeats. Where the wandering water gushes from the hills above Glencar in pools among the rushes that scarce could bathe a star, we seek for slumbering trout, and whispering in their ears give them unquiet dreams, leaning softly out from ferns that drop their tears over the young streams.
Only the fittest will survive what must surely be the toughest endurance event ever held in Ireland.
I finished it, if I have to crawl home.
Well, most people didn't know what a triathlon was really until last year when the first Premier Dairies Triathlon was held. So it might be an idea just to take a look back and see what it was all about.
And they're away, the siren has gone, and the first ever televised triathlon in Ireland is underway, the Premier Triathlon. Over 60 competitors, and at the end of all this, just one lucky person will have an all-expenses-paid trip to Hawaii to compete in the World Ironman Triathlon. Paul Emmett is prominent, Paul Tansey is prominent, Chalky White, Jerry Kelly, 43-year-old Jerry Kelly, some of them still wading in, the first tentative wade. But up front, it's going to be Kevin Williamson, Chalky White, Paul Tansey, Diane Sloan prominent there too, Ken Murray, Andy Hamilton, Nicky O'Mara, and even at this early stage, somebody is backstroking.
And Michael Walsh is in the lead. Michael Walsh is in the lead as they come into Roundwood. There he is, just 20 from the Ace Club, the Ace Rosengren Club. And our helicopter taking them through Roundwood, County Wicklow. The weather is worsening just a little bit. I think you can see the mist settling down quite a deal. And time for a little food for Michael Walsh. He's as happy as a lark on a bike, and so indeed is Adrian Byrne. Well, nothing can stop him now. Michael Walsh, the 20-year-old from the Ace Cycling Club, is proving himself the ace today. Bar a total collapse and a blackout, he's got to make it now. The smile says it all. I wonder what he's thinking. Honolulu, Waikiki Beach. There's his coach with the congratulations. I feel he could make it now on hands and knees. Michael Walsh coming into the little wooden bridge. And in sight of the finish line, he's on his way to Hawaii. A welcoming party. He looks good, he looks strong, and what a prize. The biggest day of his life, without a doubt. Michael Walsh, the winner. He's been in 3 Ross Taulchins, 2 tours of Ireland. He's represented Ireland in cycling in the Isle of Man in June of '83. But this is the biggest one of them all.
Michael's swimming technique improved a lot between the Wicklow event and coming here to Hawaii to represent us in the Ironman. Each morning he had trained at the New Park Pool in Black Rock under the expert guidance of national swimming coach George Gibney. Michael set himself a target time of 1.5 hours for this 2.4-mile swim, and he comes ashore at his anticipated time. The water temperature in the 70s helped, of course. However, the heat was but one of the problems encountered on the 112-mile cycle. High winds and straight roads stretching off into the distance as far as the eye could see required superb concentration and fitness. There was a plentiful supply of aid stations along the marathon course, but for somebody like Michael, who has never run a marathon before, this was quite an ordeal. The black Hawaiian night would shroud this volcanic lava-strewn landscape before the premier champion crossed the finish line ahead of 500 of his fellow Ironmen. Surely a tremendous performance. And so from the Hawaiian heat to a more pleasant afternoon here in Sligo, where competitors are gathering at the new sports centre for the 1984 event. Gary Rooney and his colleagues from the Éire Óg Cycling Club will thoroughly check each bike before tomorrow's gruelling event. Every competitor gets a numbered swim cap which will assist identification in the water, as well as a bag of Puma sportswear. Nobody seems the slightest bit anxious over the ordeal which will face them in the morning.
You turn it this way.
Tomorrow morning,
Here's 262 here, right? Here's 262 here.
and every bike with you.
Let's meet some of the competitors. First, the chairman of the Irish Triathlon Association, who was runner-up in last year's Premier Dairies Triathlon, Desi McHenry.
Far better course, far better course,
Why?
yes. Well, for a start, I've been trying to practice improving my cycling. Also the long swim. And I think the longer swim will, make it more even than it was last year. I'm sorry to say it, but it'll make
it tougher on the cyclists, of course. Yeah.
Aye, I think a big deciding factor will be the length of time people spend in the water. Obviously, the slower swimmers are going to spend a longer time in the water, therefore they're going to be getting colder. So it's going to be harder for them in the transition area. So a couple of tough cyclist guys who are hopefully will be in the water a wee while longer than me.
I'm more prepared this year than I was last year. Last year I was just went out to finish the course, but this year I'm competing, hoping to be in the first 10.
Barry Thrower, in good shape this year, Barry? From the New Park Sports Centre.
That's right.
So your swimming should be good.
Oh, it's pretty strong, yeah.
What about the sea down there, Ross's Point, though?
Oh, we're in it today, and it's quite good, I think I'll do well in the swim. The cycles wear me over these hills.
Well, you keep fit generally, Barry, but have you been working specifically for this?
I've worked a bit more on my running this time, and got a lighter bike.
No, well, I can't imagine. Peter will certainly be out of the water first. I can't imagine him looking over his shoulder to see where I am. We'll have a battle between the two of us.
Are you going to beat him, Peter?
Hopefully, yeah, but maybe not on the cycling. He's more experienced than me.
Exactly. You've ridden across America, Seamus.
Yes, indeed. May last year, we rode from San Francisco to New York, and while this is very different, obviously, this is 52 miles, and it should stand to me, though. I'm hoping it will.
Triathlon is the ultimate fun, really. You can, instead of rushing and beating the road, you can, and killing your feet, you can just do 3 things, relax with the swimming. And the triathlon is more satisfactory.
If I get in the first third, I'll be quite happy. Yeah. And it's purely fun. It's probably the last year I did it, and it's probably the best event I've participated in from the point of view of just the fun.
I think people here are now more triathletes than they are individual, like runners, cyclists and swimmers. So I think the standard will be very high tomorrow.
Well, what about yourself? You were first out of the water, but then you had difficulty on the bicycle.
I would like to repeat that performance tomorrow. That'll be my main aim tomorrow. But the cycling and the run, no, I haven't really done enough work, I believe, mostly because this year was committed to swimming. But the triathlon will be a future event for me, so I hope to go into that more next year.
Very glamorous Diane Sloan. Not only glamorous, a very fit lady. Last year, the leading lady, and this year there's a trip to Nice for the leading lady. Are you looking forward to that, Diane?
I would like to win, but there's a lot of competition this year.
How hard have you been training?
I trained very hard all winter, and I just hope that it go well.
Is it everyday training?
Yes, twice a day usually.
And how many hours would you devote to it?
I reckon about 20 hours a week.
So here's wishing good luck to Diane and all the competitors who have been made very welcome here in Sligo. There's a festival atmosphere downtown where, in addition to street banners, the Junior Chamber of Commerce have organised window display competitions. All hotel rooms are full, and after viewing the video of last year's event being screened at the Sligo Park Hotel, it'll be early to bed for all.
Well, we're down by the sea at Ross's Point, and everything is in readiness for the Premier Dairies Triathlon. The competitors, those of whom I spoke to, said they didn't sleep very much last night, but their state of fitness is such that that won't trouble them very much anyway. There are over 200 of them, and they begin with this 1 mile swim here. Thankfully, the waters are very calm. It's overcast, but it's a lovely day for it. Are you sorry you're not one of them, Thelma?
No, I'm not actually, Brenda, but I am really looking forward to being a spectator. I saw a lovely little notice in a shop window in Sligo town today, and it said, "Welcome and good luck to all the brave athletes," and brave they certainly are, because it's an arduous task.
It is indeed a mammoth undertaking, and your undertaking, Alderman Pat Curley, has been pretty mammoth too.
We've had tremendous local involvement, Brendan. We've had the Yacht Club, as you can see here this morning, are extremely involved and have been involved from the word go. We've had the Civil Defence, 160 people from the Civil Defence involved. We have all the local sporting organisations. We have a great medical backup team and support services from the water safety people. We have the Junior Chamber of Commerce involved in doing a number of promotional activities for us, and a whole variety of other groups and organisations. So we have over, in total, some 200 people involved in the organisation.
I would think that, particularly with the help of RTE and covering it, that an event like this will gain in popularity, and to my mind will rival the marathon, not numerically, but certainly in terms of interest. It's the next logical stage for the marathoner to go on to do an event that incorporates 3 disciplines, cycling, swimming and running.
Michael Jacob, Managing Director of Premier Dairies. You got over 60 in the event last year, over 200 this year, so you must be pleased with that.
A splendid turnout this year, Brendan. We're very, very pleased, and it's the growing interest in sport, and the establishment, I think, of the Irish Triathlon Association during the year is going to help it marvellously. It's developing well, and Premier is developing with it, thank goodness.
And obviously you must have judged that it was a good sponsorship to come back this year.
Yes, a very good
roundly
sponsorship.
supported.
A very good sponsorship, and watching Michael Walsh's performance and finishing so well last year and doing so well abroad afterwards has given us great satisfaction, and we feel we should be supporting an event like this.
Well, in addition to the sponsors' contribution, what an enormous effort local organisations here in Sligo have put into staging the event on behalf of RTE. Through the cooperation of the Department of Defence, a total of 160 uniformed civil defence personnel are giving their services under the direction of Commandant Vinnie Bly. 30 canoeists, as many surfboards and 8 speedboats will patrol the swim course so competitors can be rescued quickly if in difficulties. The Sligo Yacht Club here at Ross's Point not only gave us the use of the club rooms, but members are supervising the safety aspect of the swim under the direction of Chairman Gus Henry. So as start time approaches, let's join Brendan over on Bowmore Strand.
And here on the Strand, 0 hour fast approaches. Everything in readiness. Swimmers with Vaseline on them to keep out the cold. Many of them are wearing goggles there. There are 202 of them altogether, and they've been told that it will start on the dot of 11, so it's only seconds to go. There are 15 women among them, and there's Diane Sloan, the leading one. She took the title last year and hoping to take it again this year. So last good wishes there. If there's one characteristic that's common to them, it's an easygoing good humour. And there's the Claxton. Ronnie Delaney gives the signal, and it's the charge of the Life Brigade, and hopefully there are going to be no casualties today. Never was cold water attacked so enthusiastically and so vigorously. 58 degrees, but it's no bother to them with a 52-mile cycle after that and then a 13-mile run. They're from everywhere in Ireland: Drumbo and Down, Ballintemple and Cork, Roscrea, Tipperary, Arklow and Wicklow, Rathkeil and Limerick, Ballymena and Antrim, Ring and Waterford, Oranmore, Galway, Westport and Mayo. Yes, competitors from all... A large group rounding the boy there, and among those people like Michael O'Callaghan from Tralee, a linesman, Herbert Inglis from Dublin, a plumber, Anthony Gallagher from Boyle, a draftsman, James Ryan from New Ross, an architectural student, Urca Stewart from Dublin, the senior counsel. And looking closer there, Patrick Burbage from Port Darlington, David Kavanagh from Castleknock is there, Douglas Barry of Bray, Liam O'Leary of Cork, David Foley of Dublin, Jack Mead with a beard from Dublin there in the foreground, and beyond him was Patrick Whitney of Rosslare. Gerald Underwood from Dublin there, shop assistant from Glasnevin, as we look again at Kevin Williamson. And stretching his lead all the time. Back we go to Gerald Underwood. He's 20 years of age from St. Vincent's, and there's that great surveillance with the canoeists always ready to help any swimmer in difficulty. And now we see Diane Sloan with that beautiful style that's keeping her up with the best of the men. Very relaxed and easy. Crawling along, she has a little trouble with destination there. The goggles may be hampering her somewhat, but she finds her destination point, or does she? Another hesitation, and away she heads for the harbour. And closing on the harbour, it's Kevin Williamson. He's just within yards now of the finish of the 1 mile swim. First in again this year. What will his time be? He's coming to the steps, and it's going to be a good one. Climbing up there in the little ledge, coming to the steps, and his time is 16:45. Kevin pressing on. He needs all the time he can get, of course, with that long cycle and run ahead of him. And there he takes the fresh water brought down from the golf club by the fire brigade and the civil defence. As we look back to see the second man coming in now, and it's Tadhg Murphy. Tadhg Murphy, he's going to be under 19 minutes. He's a 20-year-old clerical officer with Telecom Éireann from Glasnevin in Dublin and the Half Moon Club. He had the fastest time in the Liffey swim last year, and his time here as he gets to the steps is 18:38. Tadhg. Nearly 2 minutes behind. As we look to the third man, and the third is Gerald Underwood. Gerald Underwood with the helicopter hovering overhead. Gerald, a 20-year-old shop assistant from Glasnevin, second in the bull wall swim this year, and a member of the St. Vincent's Water Polo Club. He's going to be under 20 minutes. Still swimming strongly at the end of the mile, coming to the steps. And it's Gerald Underwood who's going to take third under 20 minutes, as we see the fourth and fifth in the top of the shot there, coming towards the steps. Gerald Underwood, 19:23, and that's Diane Sloan with David Warby just getting in ahead of her. David Warby is fourth, Diane Sloan is fifth, and Warby and Sloan both under 20 minutes. Warby with the time of 19:42, and Diane just seconds behind him, literally, coming in 19:47. Difficult, Diane. Was it difficult? Freezing. by Diane, doing so well in that swim, ahead of the field in 5th place, going through the spray there, getting the spray as well as the camera lens. And we see Kevin Williamson now leaving the bicycle park. He shed his swimming togs into his cycling gear and off he chases as we look back to the water. And coming in 6th place is Frank O'Dwyer. Frank from Killiney in Dublin is a 30-year-old, a lifeguard and a swim teacher by profession. 6th place, 7th, 8th and 9th coming in now. Brian Mungy, Michael O'Mara and Dermot Kelleher with John Glass, 10th. And in 11th place, it's Paul Emmett, the veteran, 45 years of age. Paul, who has competed in the Liffey swim for over 26 years. And last year he was 13th in the Premier Dairies triathlon. He's a little off direction there, looking around, finding his harbour destination point and pressing on for that 11th place. So understandably, all of the top swimmers to the front, but the great bulk of them are still way out the course. In fact, many of them haven't even come near the halfway mark. And there's the general view of the harbour. Let's hear how Thelma sees all this from her lofty perch in that helicopter.
And from up here in the helicopter, the overall scene at the Yacht Club looks impressive indeed. The Civil Defence and Gardaí have done a magnificent job in keeping the crucial area around the swim exit and change area free of spectators. Further up the hill to the left, those who have come out from Sligo to watch the race will have an excellent view of the start of the cycle race after each competitor picks up his own machine from the well-ordered rows organised by the Civil Defence. Below us, you can see the marquee where competitors change before heading for the bike park.
Well, the girls had special changing accommodation arranged for them at the Yacht Club, but seconds count, and Diane saved seconds by changing in the general changing area in the marquee. She's ready for the cycle. You're going to take it easy at the start, Diane, or belt away?
Just belt away.
And belt away she does, as we see Aidan Buckley coming up there from Ballintemple, a primary teacher, Nicky O'Mara from Artane, Peter Byrne from Santry, Joseph Healy from Galwegians Rugby Football Club. And Diane up the hill, passing John Glass, who's having difficulty getting his bag there. As they come through the spray, Brian Byrne from Green Hills in Dublin. You'll see Doyne and Nugent from Galway among them there, Raymond McCann from Derry, David Flannery from the Tipperary Wheelers. The morning mist has lifted. It's a really lovely day now. Knocknarea in the background. And most of the swimmers, the main body of them still strung way out along the course.
The extent to which the swim has spread out along the 1-mile course is best seen from up here in the helicopter. None of the swimmers appear to be in any distress, while the rescue boats are just out of the picture on either side. Ambulances were able to drive down onto the beach as a result of a special roadway laid down for the event by Sligo County Council. However, it looks that fortunately their services won't be required. The sheltered bay here at Ross's Point has an enviable record for its safety for swimming, and we expect the vast majority of these swimmers to reach the finish before the cut-off time of 1 hour.
Civil Defence with a bag ready as Dermot Kelleher, a former Dublin minor GEA player, heads up the hill. Then Paul Emmett, Paul who was 11th out of the water, getting his feet into the pedals there and heading out on that very arduous cycle. The helicopter overhead, as they rush to the change tent, we see the pale figure there, Michael Walsh, the title holder, going in. He's 24:44 in the swim.
At least I got a wash anyway. Yeah, it was quite hard to get used to. The beginning, I think the shock of trying to keep your breathing as regular as possible. The shock of the cold water.
You're ahead of Michael Walsh. Were you ahead of him at this stage last year?
Oh, no way. I was, yeah. But he's a very strong cyclist. That's why I've got these quick slip-on shoes.
Right. Great. Good luck.
Which way they go?
Come on, Desi!
Well, Desi quicker at dressing there. His time of the swim, 24:54. At the bus, Gerard Wafer of Fife Hall in Dublin. Alan Blackburn from Bangor there to the left. Bobby Gardner and John Glass as Desi heads up the hill. A tremendous competitor, Desi McHenry, runner-up last year. And coming down the hill as Desi goes up is Brian Mungy, coming to leave his bag at the bus. Brian from Ballygall in Dublin. Enthusiastic support from the crowd. And Michael Walsh preparing to get on the bicycle. Michael, happy with your swim?
Yes, happy enough.
You're a bit behind.
Go ahead, you're ahead of your time.
Well, Michael, much happier, I'd say, on the bike now than he was in the swim. An experienced cyclist as he heads off, hopefully, to retain this title he won last year. The great crowd that turned out from Sligo giving him all the help they can as he heads up the hill.
Well, that was the worst part over, I think.
Alan Blackburn from Bangor heads off. Number 58 there, Patrick Skean from Glasnevin, North Dublin Swim Club. He's a 32-year-old, married and self-employed. And he's got a lot to do now as we watch Gordon Murray from Dundonald. And coming in a shot there, Anne Carney from Finglas, a member of Clonliffe Harriers. Anne married with 2 children, aged 6 and 2. And she's completed 2 RTE2 marathons. Johnny the scramble up the hill there. And a long way to go for Anne. Followed by Jack Mead from Ballantyre, and then scrambling up the hill, Adrian Byrne, carrying his bike. He was 3rd last year, Adrian, a marvellous competitor from Kilmainham in Dublin, 31-year-old motorcycle policeman, and I'm sure he'd like to have the motorcycle with him right now. Then David Foley from Dublin, Juliet Smith from Malahide, a 23-year-old student, Thomas Tracy from Coolock.
So for some at least, the ordeal of the swim is over, and the open road of the cycle course is more appealing. As expected, Olympic swimmer Kevin Williamson's swim time for the mile was extremely fast. Diane Sloan, just 3 minutes and 2 seconds behind, is going to give her male colleagues a run for their money. In 6th place, Frank O'Dwyer, who has swum Dublin Bay. Michael O'Mara in 8th place at 18 is our youngest competitor, while John Glass is the 19-year-old student from Queen's University in Belfast. Ahead lies the 57-mile cycle, so join us for that exciting action after this break.
Wake up every day to bring me a goodness. 3, 2, 1. First in so many ways, that's trivia goodness.
For quality, creaminess and freshness, put first things first.
Wake up every day
Premier Dairies. Put first things first.
to Premier Milk.
That's my sister. She adores the kids. And they love it when she visits, especially when she brings them Milky Way. They enjoy their Milky Way, and my sister knows I won't take her off, because with its centre whipped till it's really light and fluffy, then covered with delicious real milk chocolate, Milky Way won't fill them up. What's for lunch then?
Milky Way, the sweet you can eat between meals without ruining your appetite.
There's something special about McDonald's Royal New Harvest Vegetable Soup. It's gorgeous. And it's creamy. There's loads of vegetables in it. And you can't see it. Squiggly pieces in it. Little bits. It's very smooth. That's where I like it. You like it? McDonald's Royal New Harvest Vegetable. A smoother blended vegetable soup.
More soup, please. On its way.
Just one sip says it's smoother.
When you need to be ready for anything, keep your cool with Shield. The deodorant stripes in new Shield help you stay cool, confident, Shield keeps a body cool.
This is a mum who always remembers Disprin.
She remembers Disprin for taking care of Dad's headache. She remembers Disprin for effective relief that's always at hand for every one of the family. And she remembers Disprin when Sean's got a cold or flu. No wonder she remembers. It's the family solution.
The unmistakable sound.
The chieftain!
The unmistakable taste.
What do I think of Guinness? Put a pint in front of me and I'll show you.
Rich and dark. Deep and rewarding. Guinness.
You just can't beat it.
Guinness. No beer comes near.
Collect your free Carrickdoon pottery bowls at your local participating BP station.
Can you resist M&B marvellous bread? Every slice tastes twice as nice.
Slimline yogurt, low fat, sugar free and only half the calories from Premier Yogurt.
Now you know. Country Kitchen Stuffing Mix. Tested and approved by Granny McGlynn.
Finance for the things you need, with repayments covered in case of redundancy, accident, sickness or death, from Bank of Ireland Finance and selected retail outlets.
Welcome back. The cycle course takes the competitors from Ross's Point back towards Sligo town before swinging left onto the main Bundoran road. Ahead lies some of the most scenic countryside in Ireland, passing Drumcliff and on to the turnaround point at Cashel-Garran. Here they'll head back again to Drumcliff and will meet the slower competitors going in the other direction.
And it's Kevin Williamson holding on to that lead he built up in the swim, the man who represented Ireland in swimming in 2 Olympic Games at Montreal and Moscow. But that lead of his has been relentlessly cut down now by people like Michael Walsh, Edwin Byrne, Desi McHenry. The old Drumcliff Creamery, and he ahead. Aidan Buckley, another man who's made up a lot of ground. He came 12th out of the swim. He's now about 7th. The two Northerners pass each other. Diane Sloan being left behind by Desi McHenry, and there Paul Emmett, the veteran, looking happy enough on the bike there, finishing 11th in the swim, and he's followed by another man we saw a lot of in the swim, Gerald Underwood, a strong swimmer, 3rd out, but he was passed there by Desi McHenry as we look across to lofty Benbulben. Coming now to the turnaround at Cashel-Garran. 11 miles gone in the cycle, and it's Kevin Williamson still holding on to the lead. Some tricky gravel surface to be negotiated there on that turn. And Kevin told to head back the way he came. Straight ahead, Kevin. Are you warmed up by now?
Wrecked.
All right. Well, for a man that says he's wrecked, he doesn't show much sign of weariness. And coming in 2nd now, Desi McHenry. Being careful on that gravel surface. But that car may have broken his concentration a little. He puts a foot and a hand down. He comes past shaking his head saying, that shouldn't have happened. Desi in 2nd place. His time 54:44. 3 minutes behind Kevin Williamson. Diane Sloan. Just ahead of Diane Sloan was Paul Emmett, Gerald Underwood and Michael Walsh. And Diane going through in 55.09 in 6th place. And in the background there we see Gerard Hartman. He's moved up a lot from 20th in the swim to 8th place. And in the foreground we see Tyke Murphy, who came out 2nd out of the water, but he's had trouble there with the bike. He had a fall at the turn, and that's going to hold him up a lot. Brian Mungy in 9th place. Joseph Healy going through there in 11th, the Galway rugby man. Coming in there is Peter Byrne taking a drink. Ex O'Connell Schools, and he's in 12th place.
So let's recap on the leaders as they reached the turnaround here at Cashel-Garran. Kevin Williamson had still retained his lead at this point. He was 3 minutes ahead of Desi McHenry, who was really burning up the course, having failed to make the first 20 places out of the swim. Third was Paul Emmett, who was putting up a brilliant performance. Fourth, Gerard Underwood, and last year's champion Michael Walsh is gaining on the leaders with every turn of the pedals, cycling being his specialty.
And here we see how the lofty head of Bear Ben Bulben views the panorama of beautiful countryside, looking across to Knocknaray in the distant background. But back down on the road, it's Diane Sloan, who is cycling magnificently. She says her favourite sports stars are Sean Kelly and Stephen Roach, and she must have taken some tips from them. As going through to the turnaround at Cashel-Garran, we see Doyle Nugent, Urca Stewart, Patrick Whitney, Tyke McNally, and Nicky O'Mara. Under Bear Ben Bulben's head in Drumcliff churchyard, Yeats is laid. An ancestor was rector there long years ago. A church stands near by the road, an ancient cross. No marble, no conventional phrase. On limestone quarried near the spot, by his command these words are cut. Cast a cold eye on life, on death. Horsemen, pass by.
These backmarkers have yet to come out onto the main Bundoran road. The route taking them past Drumcliff is either level or slightly downhill. They encounter a gradual climb to the turnaround at Cashel-Garran before heading back to swing left at the old Drumcliff Creamery.
He's 1.5 miles from the turnaround, taking this turn off to Glencar, followed there by Gerard Underwood. And there's just under 45 miles to go in the cycle. And at this point, we've heard that all of the swimmers are now safely out of the water. At the turn off, Diane Sloan, now in 6th place. She's followed by David Warby, just coming into the turn-off. This is to Glencar, followed by Aidan Buckley. All of them well up and in contention. Cyclists heading for the turnaround. They've got to come back to the turn-off. Anthony Bagnall from Newry. And there, Gerard Hartman, who's really pressing hard, made up a lot of ground as we watch Desi McHenry. And Desi is now in 3rd place, having been passed by Walsh. Kevin Williamson now in 2nd. Michael Walsh gone ahead of him. And Desi McHenry is close behind. And there we see the leader, the new leader, Michael Walsh, the man who took the title last year, the clock reading 1:26:30 there. And Michael Walsh is really putting on the power on the bicycle. But with a 4-hour estimated time to the finish. There's a long way to go and a lot could happen. And Desi McHenry now in second place. Desi has caught Kevin Williamson and is pressing on the heels of Walsh. The 35-year-old from the north, and he's followed by Gerald Hartman, who's now moved up to third, the trackman, and he's going to go well on the run. He's followed by Aidan Buckley, another trackman, in fourth. Gerald Underwood is fifth going through there. Paul Emmett comes next in sixth, and Kevin Williamson has dropped back there to seventh. Diane Sloan in eighth place. Really magnificent cycling from Diane. Now to the beautifully scenic Lower Glencar Lake. We're watching some of the back markers going through there from this aerial shot. Along the lovely lake in Leitrim here, on to Glencar and the magnificent Glencar waterfall. The Community Council really enter into the spirit of things, putting up these banners, and the Glencar band is out too. Glencar Bridge. The road heads on through Glencar up to Glenaid before it turns back to Sligo. Glencar giving great support. The Glencar band out, as I said, and there the road goes on towards Glenaid. Premier Fresh Milk, but these riders have no time as they speed through. Dermot Kelleher there, 37-year-old physical education and geography teacher, played minor with Dublin in his Gaelic footballing younger days.
From above the lake, the real beauty of the valley can best be enjoyed with the mountain range stretching to the left, back to Benbulben. From here, the cycle route takes them back to Sligo and out by the shores of Lough Gill to the village of Drumahair. On the way, they'll pass Colga Lake and Parkes' Castle, and it's just beyond that point that we pick up the leader, Michael Walsh, who is way out ahead of the field.
But there's a long, long way to go yet, and as we look back, Paul Emmett has moved up to fifth above Colga Lake. He's followed by Adrian Byrne, who has moved up to sixth place. Adrian, a great competitor and tremendous on the bike. Around the corner of Lough Gill, we see from the aerial shot the leader behind the lead car. Aidan Buckley comes up the hill above Lough Gill, followed by Adrian Byrne. And 16 miles from the finish of the cycle, we have Parkes Castle, an early 17th century manor house, presently being restored by the Board of Works. Diane Sloan, now 14 miles to go in the cycling. She's at Shriff, and she's really keeping up the pace. And at an entirely different pace, in idyllic setting for a lakeside picnic. They're oblivious to all the turmoil out on the roadway. But back on the road, Joseph Healy, closely followed by Dave O'Connor. Dave O'Connor, who intends to take part in the Ironman event in Hawaii later on this year. The sign says Manor Hamilton, but it's Drumahair they're heading for. Stephen O'Toole moved up dramatically through the field from 49th out of the swim to 9th place now. He's from Newbridge, Premier AC in Tipperary, 28-year-old phys ed instructor with the Defence Forces, and ran the Radio 2 Marathon in 2:36. He's past Mungie.
All around is evidence of prehistoric dwellings, and I wonder what would these early settlers have thought of such an event as the triathlon. Still away out ahead is Michael Walsh, who has already gone through the village of Drumahair and is heading towards the changeover to running at Sligo Racecourse. On the way, the route takes him by the other side of Lough Gill, passing Dooney Rock. Meanwhile, back in Dromahare, Diane Sloan is still doing extremely well. Although there are some less fortunate. For instance, Joseph Healy from Newcastle in Galway has real bike problems, and Paul Emmett likewise.
I was coming down the hill and my front wheel just collapsed. Spokes just broke, and I had to ditch the bike into it. I was going so fast, I just had to ditch the bike into it.
You were doing so well. You were lying about 7th.
I was 5th.
5th
I
at
was
that
7
stage.
minutes behind the leaders.
Oh, are you bitterly disappointed?
I'm disgusted. I don't know what to do, you know. I just feel so uptight about it, you know.
Paul Emmett suffering the look of the game as the Dromahare band helped the cyclists through, adding colour and support. Urca Stewart, the senior counsel, has a drink there. All of these cyclists wanting to finish, but also happy to take part. That's the important thing in the Olympic tradition for all of them, and all of them enjoying it, no matter how difficult it looks. Michael Kelly from the Lejeune Cycling Club, Andrew Harries, the Wild Water Canoe Club, Tom Byrne, the First Dublin Venture Scouts, and the man in red there, Douglas Barry. The clock at 2:35:30, and it's Michael Walsh on the last hill just before the racecourse.
You're way ahead, Michael. Yeah, hope they stay.
So as Michael heads for the finish of the cycle, he has built up a tremendous lead on his nearest rival. However, cycling is his best event, and even though he is 9 minutes ahead of Gerard Hartmann, it should be remembered that Michael is still suffering from a shin splints injury he picked up during his courageous run last year in the Ironman event in Hawaii. Once again, the civil defence stewards have everything under control here at the racecourse, and the numbered bags are in ordered rows so that each competitor can make a speedy change into the running gear. Dermot Kilgallen, who is manager of the Sligo racecourse here, has placed all the excellent facilities at our disposal for this Premier Dairies triathlon. Soon Michael Walsh will have changed and be on his way again.
And on the hill before the racecourse, it's the 22-year-old from Limerick Athletic Club, Gerard Hartmann.
9 minutes behind. Can you make it up?
Yeah. Lots of confidence. He's run a mile in 4 minutes, 2 seconds and 5,000 metres in 14:21, so he should do well on the run. Next to him, Adrian Byrne also made up a lot of ground. The motorcycle policeman pressing on to the racecourse.
So as yet, Michael Walsh is unaware of who is following him or how far his nearest rival is behind him. The run will take him past the many megalithic stones at Carramore and under the shadow of the huge cairn at Knocknarea, under which lies the remains of Queen Maeve. Stay with us for part 3.
To cover every single vehicle in any road transport fleet. From the heaviest to the very lightest diesel engine. And every single one in between. Shell Rimula X. One of around 600 different oils developed by Shell. Oil for everything from generators to juggernauts. Shell. Oil for everything.
Premier low-fat milk. Shape up, work out, be healthy with delicious low-fat milk. Premier Dairies, put first things first.
Getting married? I don't want to.
Telephones from Technico. Their great reputation is not just talk.
On the beach and in the sun, the real thing is so much fun.
It's a change for the best. The new Visa card from Allied Irish Banks. Now, the best credit card around is better than ever. Whatever you do, wherever you go, make a change for the best with the new Visa card from Allied Irish Banks and put a great idea to work for you. This is the feeling. Lightning fresh, whitening clean. The ice-sharp feeling of McLean's. This is the look. Strong and white, with all the McLean's protection of fluoride plus calcium GP. McLean's gives you and your family the feeling of cleanness and the look of whiteness.
The Irish Impressionists. Don't miss this major exhibition at the National Gallery of Ireland.
Can you resist M&B marvellous bread? Every slice tastes twice as nice.
Slimline yogurt, low-fat, sugar-free and only half the calories from Premier Dairies.
Get a permanent bonus by saving regularly with Irish Permanent, the people's choice.
Visit the new control room, McKenna's Dean's Grange, for hi-fi, videos, computers and car stereos.
Get your chimney cleaned at least twice a year to help stamp out fires.
Malt extract with cod liver oil, traditionally the tasty way to take vitamins A and D, from 7 Seas.
Welcome back to the Premier Dairies Triathlon, and as Michael Walsh, the leader, is on his way on the 13-mile run, we watch Desi McHenry, the man from Drumbo, County Down, chairman of the Irish Triathlon Association. He's in 4th, and he's followed by Aidan Buckley in 5th place. Aidan oblivious to the beautiful backdrop with Dooney Rock to the right there. He's from Ballintemple in Cork, 25, a member of Lee Vale and Sunday's Well Clubs, a primary teacher, and a former school swim champion. As we now watch Michael Walsh with the clock under 3 hours and 2 minutes, and Michael had a fall. He cut his left knee, bleeding a little there, but he's pressing ahead. Michael, 21 years of age, completed 3 Rostaltons, 2 Tours of Ireland, and represented Ireland in the Tour of Wales. As we look back to Drumahair, we see David Flannery coming up drinking there from Tipperary Wheelers. He's followed by Derek Murphy from Rathmines in Dublin, who boasts having given up drinking and smoking after 25 years for triathloning. Kevin O'Leary is next from Cork Health Club, but then Bob O'Hanlon of Aer Lingus. Followed by Paul Spencer, 38, unemployed, family of 7. Alex Carey, 24-year-old Sligo man, mountaineering enthusiast. Followed by Patrick Dolan from Clara Offaly, and then Mary Kelly, a clerk in Dr. Stephen's Hospital. But we look out the course again to see Michael Walsh. And the clock reading just 3 hours, 6:07. And Walsh comfortably in the lead. He has about 3.6 miles gone on the run. And he's passing the stone rings at Carramore. Carramore, a collection of 45 megalithic forts, thought to be the largest collection in Europe, dating from around 4000 BC. But we look across to see Gerard Hartmann, who is now 2 minutes and 45 seconds only behind Walsh. He was 9 minutes behind, remember, at the racecourse. And now we see the aerial view of Queen Maeve's grave, estimated to be built in 3000 BC by Stone Age farmers. It's 80 feet high, 200 feet in diameter, and the legendary Queen Maeve buried there, and passing it is Adrian Byrne. Adrian now 6 minutes behind Walsh and going extremely well.
Boy, that's a warm day, lads.
Is it, Adrian? He's got over 9 miles to run as we look ahead to Walsh with the clock now at 3:16:50. And Gerard Hartmann, you see him on the inside of him, pressing hard with Desi McHenry back at Carramore, 9 minutes behind Walsh.
I'm getting too old for this.
Desi, like Adrian Byrne, has shed his shirt. And here comes Walsh, getting applause there as he approaches Ransborough Church Crossroads. But Gerard Hartman pressing very close behind him. Michael rounded the corner, and a lady doctor going up alongside to examine his knee. One of 10 doctors giving their services free in this triathlon. And there's Hartman now rounding right behind him. The tall trackman Hartman. And he's going to press in fact, he's right up with them at this stage. 7 miles to go to the finish, and Hartman is up with Walsh. Adrian Byrne is now about 5 minutes behind the leaders. Adrian, the motorcycle policeman, 32 years of age. Very comfortable running style there, refusing a sponge, but now deciding to take one. And 7 miles to go for Adrian. Desi McHenry next to come into shot. Desi is still about 9 minutes behind the leaders. Chairman of the Irish Triathlon Association, and second last year, but he's placed fourth at the moment.
So let's recap on the order at the end of the cycle. Michael Walsh, you'll remember, was then way out in front with Gerard Hartman 9 minutes behind. Adrian Byrne followed Gerard closely into the racecourse, but Gerard made an extra quick change and went off in quick pursuit of Michael Walsh, and has since passed him, as you've seen. Desi McHenry came in fourth. Aidan Buckley from Cork, wearing number 5 because of his 5th place in last year's Premier Dairies Triathlon, came in again in 5th spot. Sixth into the racecourse was Stephen O'Toole, a PE instructor from Newbridge. Dave O'Connor, 7. John Darcy, who came 6th overall last year, was 8th. And Diane Sloan, still the leading lady, in 9th place. Another northern competitor, Erwin Cameron, a civil servant from County Down, in 10th. Let's rejoin Brendan back at Sligo Racecourse.
How do you feel? Tired. You're going to keep going there, keep going up. Good stuff. You're going to do the rest of it?
Was that tough? The only thing that was level this morning was the water out there.
You're looking forward to the run?
Yes.
Good.
This way,
and what about yourself? Come here, Denise, for a second. How's it going?
Oh, fine. It's a challenge, that's for sure.
It is indeed.
I'm really enjoying it.
And you're going to
see
do
how I go on the run now.
13.5 miles.
Please God, yeah.
Good. That's good enough. That was rough, though.
Oh, sure.
You
Mind that.
What? You're going the rest of the way?
Ah, well, if my knee holds up, I'll do it. If it doesn't, I won't.
Did you prefer the swim to the cycle, or what?
I'd rather the swim. I was pleased with swimming. Very pleased, but the cycling's very rough. I was training on level ground. There's no use for that. I had to walk up some of the hills. Right, thanks.
How's it going?
Ah, great.
It's a lovely day. Anyway.
To go.
Did you enjoy the scenery?
Yeah, at least it's really
And
fantastic.
Shay,
Brendan.
listen, how does it compare to America?
Oh, America was easy. It's hard time, I can tell you.
Is that right? How's the son doing?
Oh, he's
Peter.
ahead of me. He's ahead of me. Well
he?
ahead. Yeah, yeah.
Well, there were some of the back markers, and as we look out to the front of the race, we see Gerard Hartman. The clock is now at 3:24.5, and Hartman in a lead of about 1 minute and 20 seconds ahead of Walsh. Michael Walsh limping a little, still pressing on though, but now down that 120 on Hartman. Unless Hartman has a cramp or a fall, it's looking bad for Walsh retaining his title. Next into shot comes Adrian Byrne, holding that 3rd spot and pressing hard all the time. He's now only 4 minutes behind the leaders, so making up a lot of ground.
4 minutes behind the leader. 4 behind the leader.
As Desi McHenry is now 8.5 minutes behind. Desi, a teacher by profession, married, no family, Willowfield Harriers.
Minutes behind the leader.
And now we look out on the main Strandhill to Sligo Road, and we see Gerard Hartman there, way out clear of the field. He's not being helped by all the cars that seem to be gathering around. We saw Knocknarea in the background as he heads towards Sligo. Gerard, who was Irish junior steeplechase champion in '79, he's run a half marathon in 1 hour and 7 minutes. 4.2 mile on a 14:21, 5,000 metres, as I said before. So he's at home over the running course. Back to Ransborough, and we see Aidan Buckley from Ballintemple in Cork. 12th out of the swim, he's now in 5th place. Aidan, a former 800 metres Munster champion and the school's 100 metres swim champion. He's followed by Stephen O'Toole. Stephen was 49th out of the swim. He's now moved up, 28 years of age. He ran the Radio 2 Marathon in 2:36. He's followed by Dave O'Connor of Aer Lingus Athletic Club. And the Irish Triathlon Club has competed in 5 triathlons. Alan Blackburn from the north comes next, and another from the north, of course, Diane Sloan. She's the first of the women. She's leading the field and heading to retain this title she took last year. Deciding to take the sponge eventually there. An interesting thing about the triathlon is that the combination of swimming, cycling and running in rapid succession, instead of being overpowering, lends a variety which the competitors find exhilarating. They're looking forward to the next event and look back with satisfaction at the ones completed.
Tired. Wish it was all over. The thighs are beginning to hurt.
Diane hurting, but still managing a smile. As we come back out to the front again, and it's Gerard Hartmann, who is now very comfortably into his stride, approaching the outskirts of Sligo. And barring a fall or a cramp, heading for victory.
So as Gerard Hartmann enters the final stretch, let's look at the order as they came past our control point at Ransborough. Michael Walsh, who was then in the lead and was overtaken shortly afterwards by Gerard. Adrian Byrne was in 3rd, followed by a tiring Desi McHenry, now beginning to feel the effects of his very fast cycle time. Number 5, Aidan Buckley, was still 5th. In 6th, Stephen O'Toole, with a fine 2 hours 36 minutes for the Dublin City Marathon, should hold on to his position. Dave O'Connor, a dedicated triathlete who plans to do the Ironman event this year in Hawaii, was 7th. Erwin Cameron was next, with John Darcy from Ashford, County Wicklow in 9th, and Tony Bagnall from Newry, County Down, also going well in 10th place.
And as we watch these competitors, there are others still strung way back over the cycling course, have yet to reach the race course. And it says something about the fitness of these competitors, and indeed the triathlon, that despite the quick succession of arduous events, that they still enjoy it. Well, I suppose variety is the spice of life. Sligo town, coming over the Garavogue River, we see Gerard Hartmann. He's only got about 1 mile to go. And knowing his experience in track competition, there's no doubt that he's going to get there now ahead of the field. He's well in advance. And we look back towards Benbulben, by which they cycled not too long ago, as he approaches the second bridge. Communication throughout this extensive course was helped greatly by the Sligo Amateur Radio Society. Great assistance given by numerous people, the community games people, the local athletic club, and all those that we mentioned already, and without whom this very mammoth event would not have been possible. Gerard Hartmann, who must now know that he has victory within his grasp. It was an estimated time of 4 hours to the finish, and he's going to be under that time. As we look back now, and we see Anthony Bagnall from Newry, County Down, a 38-year-old married man, one in family. Liam O'Leary from Cork on the right, and on the inside there, in yellow, Peter Doyle, one of the greatest amateur cyclists Ireland ever produced, if not the greatest, represented us in 2 Olympics in Mexico and Munich, was 3rd in the Tour of Britain, now 38 years of age. That great battler, Peter Doyle. Brave wheelers. And now from the north, Diane Sloan, mother of two and way ahead of all the rest of the women in the field. In fact, way ahead of most of the men in the field. Tremendous performance by Diane. But we look to the front, down by the Garavogue River, and here comes Gerard Hartman, the 22-year-old Limerick man from Limerick Athletic Club, approaching the entrance to Durley Park and then up to the finish. He knows by now that he has it. And look at that concentration and determination that has carried him through these three fantastically difficult events strung out together. You can see the way he turns his head there, what great balance he has, and how in command he is as he goes through the finish line. The Premier Dairies Triathlon champion of 1984, Gerard Hartman. Incredible performance by this young man who only took up triathlon competition this year. Went in a small triathlon down in Crosshaven. That was his only experience. A year ago, in fact, November of last year, he broke a shin bone and decided to take up swimming for therapy, and that led him into triathlon competition. Took up the cycling then, and who knows what this young man can accomplish if he keeps at it. His big decision now, of course, is whether he's going to stick at triathloning or whether he will concentrate on his first love, track and field. But right now, he's down for a nice, cool swim. And what a change this is from the sea this morning. Here he has it all to himself. It's the best thing to a shower that he has at hand. And in he goes for a swim in the lovely, calm, clear, cool water. Isolated there with his thoughts now after this grueling competition, extending almost over 4 hours. His time was 3:57.17. And later, no doubt, Gerard will avail of the excellent shower facilities at the Sligo Sports Centre, and will look forward to that banquet this evening. Meanwhile, we go back to the course, and it's Adrian Byrne who comes in second place. Great performance by Adrian. His time 4:04.02, and Michael Walsh is going to be under 4:10. He's lost the title. He won last year, but I'm sure he's happy to be coming in there third among the prize winners, and his time under the clock 4:09.20.
I did badly in the swim. I got a cramp in the swim and I thought I'd have to pack it in. But fortunately enough, I started coming to on the bike.
And then you were marvellous at the run.
Yeah, I came on the run.
Such a fast pace.
Well, this year I concentrated on running, forfeited the cycling for the running, and I think it paid off.
It paid off?
Yeah.
So you're a very proud and happy man this moment?
Yeah, I'm fortunate Desi. I was hoping Desi would move up. I'd like to see that man going away for a trip, you know. He really deserves to go. Desi McHenry, but I think he got it rough today for some reason or other. But please God, he'll come in okay.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah, let's hope.
Congratulations to you anyway.
Thank you again.
Well, Adrian Byrne, they're epitomising the sportsmanship and good fellowship that's among these triathletes. As we look towards that man coming in fourth, Desi McHenry, very disconsolate looking. And his wife, Janice, on the right, feeling about as bad as him, if not worse, and trying to give him some assistance. But we'll be hearing a lot from Desi, one of the most experienced triathlon men in the game, in fact. His time 4:14.32. We see Aidan Buckley now coming in. Aidan going to finish in 5th place for the second time. His time 4:16.29. Next, it's Stephen O'Toole, the man who did so tremendously well during the cycling, although basically a track man. 4:16.57 for 6th place. Meanwhile, back in the town, it's Diane Sloan, and she seems all set now to join Gerard Hartman for that trip to Nice to compete in the World Triathlon Championships. Has shown all the rest of the women in the field a clean pair of heels, as we see Dave O'Connor finishing in 7th place, 4:23.21. Erwin Cameron from Derry Duff in County Down, then Greg Coyle from Belfast. John Darcy coming in 10th. Ray Wheelers from Ashford in County Wicklow. Liam O'Leary is going to finish 11th. And then comes that great former cyclist Peter Doyle finishing in 12th place, and a really wonderful performance for the 38-year-old Peter. Meanwhile, back at Carrow, Richard Sullivan, Limerick, Tony Fox, Sligo, John Nolan, Gorey and Audrey Shields, Clontarf. And Mary Clonan.
Do you reckon you'll finish, Marie?
I'll finish if I have to crawl up.
Well, that's the spirit, as we see David Sheedy from Pendochan Gar, the rowing club. Alan Blackburn is behind him in 16th place, the man from the north that we saw along the way. Great support from the large crowd, and behind him comes Michael Hayden, 17th from Clonagh Tullamore. He's the first over 40 to finish, 44 years of age, married with 3 children.
Congratulations. Are you thrilled?
I am really pleased, yeah.
Absolutely delighted. Marvellous time, under 4 hours.
Well, I was happy with it. I had really to push in the cycle because the swimming is my weakest sport, and I really had to gain a lot in the cycle, and I cycled very well, I think, because I only started cycling about 10 weeks ago, but my running is my sport.
Running is your sport,
and
of course.
When I got on the road there today, I had cramps for the first 6 miles, so I was a bit doubtful for a while, but once I got eased out, I knew I could win.
Now Gerard will set his sights on Nice, and so will Diane Sloan, the first woman home for the second year in succession, 4:35.46. A really incredible performance ahead of 160 of the men.
Congratulations. Wonderful. Do you feel shattered?
Absolutely.
Which was worse, the swim or the run? Extremely difficult.
So destroying,
Yeah, you were pretty beat actually after the cycling. It must have been
I
dreadful.
was. The first 3 miles, I thought I was not, going to be able to finish. My legs were cramping, and then all of a sudden I got a new lease of life.
Incredible performance by Diane. And another Diane here, Diane Lynch, who has actually completed the Ironman Triathlon in Hawaii. Michael Curley, man from the organising committee, hoping to finish.
Starting the run, I found it very difficult. For the first 2 miles, my legs just wouldn't move.
Right.
But otherwise, took it nice and easy.
Right.
And I didn't try to overdo it.
Good.
So hopefully I'll make the rest of the way.
To finish this gruelling event at all will surely be a fine achievement. Likewise, Lily Cokerman, who at Stephen O'Mahony of Cork seem happy with their progress too.
There'll be some drink time tonight.
And there was a lot of drink provided on the course by the local Boy Scouts, with tables set up at various points throughout. We see John Houghton, a town planner and sociologist from Sutton, approaching there.
It's very enjoyable now, you know. Great.
About 2 miles to go.
That's great.
Okay, off you go.
Liam Naughton of Cork, and at the finish, analysis.
I thought I could afford to stop, you know.
Yeah.
Look back then, you were coming.
Yeah, I was going and coming all the time.
Well, I'm still running with the tanks. They're a beautiful pair. I got a pair for a lend and I tried them. They're too light, way too light.
How'd you find the run?
I was comfortable on the run today. Found it very comfortable for a change. I didn't go too hard on the bike. I think that's why I saved myself a bit.
Yeah.
Did you catch Ger on the bike? No, Ger Hartnell?
No, we came into the race course together.
Did she? No. And he took off then, did he?
Actually, he was in his cycling gear when he came in on the bike, so he was off.
Finishing 23rd in Old Garda, Patrick Whitney from Rosslare, 10th last year, has completed 3 Roththaltons. In 24th place from Killinall, County Tipperary, a 19-year-old farmer, Martin Hassett. And the crowd still bringing them through. Pat Cook, shipping clerk from Dublin, member of the North Dublin Winter Swim Club, in 25th place. Gerard Underwood, who we saw a lot of in the swim, 26th, followed by Chris McDonald from Palmerston in Dublin.
4th. Thank you. Are you a bit disappointed?
No, I'm not disappointed. I'm glad they've taken part, but I mean, it was tougher than last year.
In what way?
Well, the competitors were tougher for a start. The weather conditions was very warm. I felt that on the run, for example, there was taking water every opportunity I could possibly get. It was definitely tougher than last year.
And after the bike, I wasn't going to continue. I really wasn't. I had 2 cups of tea, 8 sandwiches, and about 10 biscuits.
And on you went.
That kept me going, yeah. I felt great after that, then I was able to just do the run. But the swim I enjoyed, the cycle I hated, and the run was fine.
I feel a bit drained, all right, yeah, but I'd love a swim now.
You love a swim now?
Yeah,
Well,
just to freshen up.
down you go to the lake.
I'm going to go this
Wonderful.
evening, yeah.
So to the presentations with Michael Jacob, Managing Director of Premier Dairies.
Oh, Miss Gerald and Diane, congratulations again. What are your memories of it now, Gerald?
Well, it was a great course. It was really enjoyable. You know, the scenery was great, and it was a thoroughly enjoyable event. And well,
Did you
actually, I'm
expect
glad
to win?
Well, I trained to win, but anything can happen in triathlon, and we had some good competitors, so it was tough the whole way.
And it was a happy day for you all the way through, was it, Diane?
Oh, yeah, everything went according to plan. I'm really pleased.
How are you going?
The only thing that really frightened me was at the start, you know, all the men just sort of came around me, you know, and I was sort of lost under the water. It took me ages to get started, you know, to swim.
Yeah. While they bask in the glory, Army man Cyril jinks 2 miles to go. I'm on top of the world, he says. Barry Thrower from the New Park Sports Centre.
Oh, you could fry an egg if you had an egg.
Not far now to the finish, and they're one of 7 ambulances that fortunately weren't needed. But a great service laid on. Elfrida Nugent, mother of Doina Nugent, who took second among the women. She's 10 miles to go. Patrick Hoy from the Dublin Roadrunners Club. He's happy about being near the finish, saying hello to everybody, particularly the camera there. Brendan Keane, and inside of him, Roisin Maguire. Brendan from Dunboyne, County Meath, the general manager of a publishing company, and Thomas Corkery, a 19-year-old civil servant from Dublin, looking a little tired now. Michael Curley, the local committee man, tourist board representative, whom we met earlier on. Liam O'Toole, ex-rugby and inter-county footballer, with Frank O'Dwyer, who did well in the swim. And still they come. You'll see the top 50 to finish in just a moment, but whether they finished in the 50s or the 150s, they were all very happy to reach the end. And of the entire 202, only 15 didn't make it. And here's one man who did. Timmy Kelly from Sligo. Maybe he's thinking of those lines from Yeats. He who had made the night of stars for souls who tire and bleed, send one of his great angels down to help me in my need.